All right, we welcome back to the podcast Chris Kirchhof, Director of the Undergraduate Recruitment and Transfer Student Success in the Swanson School of Engineering at the University of Pittsburgh. Chris is also a region rep within NACADA and is on the podcast today to chat about the upcoming region conferences. Chris, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me on. We were joking off air that it's been a little while, but hopefully we're bringing better news now with in-person regional conferences and getting back to what people love about all the different regional conferences.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, time flies. I mean, last time we had you on along with Karen Lewis on our February 15th episode promoting the virtual region conferences. And we were grateful that I think that went fantastic with that conference. But it was nice in Cincinnati to actually be back in person for the in-person component of that. But how have you been since we last spoke in February?
Oh, good. Work is work, but I'm working now with not only advising students, but also on the recruitment side of things. So it's wearing a new hat and exciting challenges. It's really kind of an interesting role as we move into the next academic year and look at what higher ed is going to look like and what our student population is going to look like in the next year.
Yeah. Wearing more hats always changes, so that's always the exciting part.
Yes.
So since we're in December now, it's the last month of 2021. We're starting to look at opportunities in 2022, and one of those is the NACADA Region Conferences. So are we having region conferences like we used to? Is it virtual? Is it both? What can you tell us?
So we are having region conferences. We are having in-person region conferences, but there's going to be a little bit of a twist. There's going to be hybrid models to each of them and virtual options to each of them. So for people who are looking to submit presentations for them, you're able to indicate whether you want to present only in person, only virtual, or if you're open to doing a hybrid, just because we want to make sure that option is out there for people. And there might be some people who are unable to travel but still want the region conference experience. So there are going to be virtual hybrid options for them at a different cost, but making sure that everyone's able to get involved, just because I think there was a great success with the virtual regional conferences last year with the virtual components of annual conference. And I think this is something moving forward that we just want to make sure that we're able to hit as many people as possible with some of the good work that people are doing within the association.
Yeah, I think just generally speaking, people are probably excited that we are still having region conferences,
Yeah.
but probably a lot of them probably excited that, oh, it's going to be in person.
Yeah.
And then also have the virtual component so you can choose. But that, yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a wide variety of different ways. And, you know, you were talking about registration. Can you tell us more about registration, what that looks like price-wise, with the difference between in-person versus virtual? And can people start registering now, or is it coming up soon?
Well, people can start registering now. The registrations on the NACADA website are only for the in-person models, because we're still working out all the kinks of how many different sessions and what times the sessions are going to be for the virtual, simply because some of the regional conferences may overlap a weekend. So we're just working out those kinks. But early registration is open right now for some of the earlier regional conferences. Those early registration deadlines are going to come up at the end of January or beginning of February. And the early registration is $155, $100 if you are a student or a retiree. And if you're a non-member, it's $255. But why not become a member? Because you're going to get that nice little discount, but all the different perks that go along with the association as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, great point with might as well join the membership, you know, pay
Absolutely.
pay that membership fee, because you do get that huge discount with registration for the conference.
Yep.
Yeah, and not just for region conferences, for any of the conferences, there's that membership
for the
discount.
institutes, for the webinars. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, for those that are interested in going in person, you know, we can't really say we're post-pandemic, where I guess we're kind of still in it. So what is NACADA doing to ensure that attendees can feel safe and be safe at an in-person conference?
Well, obviously, we're going to be following all of the different state and local guidelines independent to each of the 10 locations, but also given the success of the annual conference, we're going to be using the same service, the VOW, to have people make sure that they submit their vaccination record prior to, just to make sure to be on the safe side and make sure that everyone's going to feel safe. And each individual region is going to have their own flair. I know there were wristbands and some other things at the annual conference, and we're leaving it up to the different individual regions just to put things in place to put people at ease, because I know it's it can be a little jarring for some people, walking into a gigantic room post pandemic, and we just want to make sure everyone feels safe. So those safeguards will be in place. So for people who do register, just make sure you're checking your email and check that pre-conference just to make sure that you're following everything that's the association's asking.
Yeah, and for those that may not have attended the Cincinnati conference, you were talking about the wristband. So I know there was like the 3 different color wristbands, and they all represented something different.
Yep.
So if that happens to be at the region conference, can you just talk about what that might look like if it is a region wristbands?
Oh, absolutely. So, in Cincinnati, you had your choice of like 3 different rubberized wristbands. Green meant that you felt very comfortable in social situations, hugs, high fives, all that stuff. Yellow's a little bit cautious. And then red is more of a, I want to keep my distance. I want to be socially safe, which is perfectly okay, because, we're all going to be in different comfort levels, and just making sure that each individual person feels like they're supported and they feel safe at the conference is important.
Yeah, and so maybe that is at your region conference, or maybe not, but there will be something in place to just make sure everyone feels as safe as possible and feels comfortable being at the conference in person. Now, of course, I guess the next logical question might be, when and where will be these region conferences in 2022?
So the when and where, I give a lot of credit to Ben Hopper and Stephanie Schrader in the executive office for putting together all of the contracts, because, as you might know, the hotel industry has been hit hard in the pandemic, and so they're just coming out of it. So a lot of these were thrown together quicker than what we will typically do with a conference. Sometimes there's 2 years worth of planning, but now there's been that timetable has been accelerated. So the first conference is going to actually be in February. Region 3 on February 21st and 23rd down in Knoxville, Tennessee, are going to have their first. And then you have them all throughout March, some in April, and then in May. So there is quite of a difference for each of the regions. They're not going to overlap this year, just because each individual region has their own times that might be better. But at the same time, if your region conference doesn't match up with maybe your spring break or graduation time, you can always attend a different region, and you can attend one if it's geographically closer for you. You're not locked in because you're a region 1 member to go to the region 1 conference. You have that flexibility to travel to whichever location or dates are going to work for you. And we've got some really great locations out there. I'm from Region 2. We're going back to Norfolk, Virginia, which is a really nice hotel at the Waterside Marriott. But I grew up in New England, so I look at like Mystic, Connecticut. That's a great site. But then I'm also extremely jealous of looking at like Region 9 in Orange, California. Matt, I know you were instrumental in locking up that location. And also for our Canadian friends out there, Region 8 is going to be in Victoria, British Columbia, at the end of May. And that is one that, from talking with the executive office, it's going to be happening over Victoria Day or around that time. And so the hotel was able to honor the prices pre-pandemic for the hotel room. So you can probably get a really good deal if you are north of the border.
That's really awesome. And we'll add the link to the region website in the show notes, so you can kind of check out the dates and the locations. But you mentioned Region 9, so I will plug it. Region 9, March 16th through the 18th, 2022. We will be in Orange, California, like Chris said, 4 miles from Disneyland. So
very jealous, very jealous.
So not that you want to go to the conference to go to Disneyland. You can go before or after, but still go to the conference to learn. But stick around for a little bit and head over to the happiest place on earth, which I would say is the region conference, but if Disneyland also wants to have that, that's fine too.
Yeah. I think they might have a trademark. I'm not sure.
They might. Yes. All trademarks to Disneyland on that. Thanks. So we're mentioning conferences, attending the conference, but also what about submitting proposals? So I know there's been a couple deadlines. Has that deadline been extended? Can someone still submit a proposal?
Absolutely, yes. If you're listening to this on the drop day, which is I think Monday the 6th,
Yep.
the conference proposals for all 10 conferences have been extended out to Monday, December 20th, and that's in part because we want to make sure we get as many quality proposals as possible. So there is still plenty of time to submit a proposal. There's plenty of time if you want to take a look at some of the different locations and times and what's going to work for you to submit a proposal. And we're really excited about having these conferences back in person, but we need help. We need the help from the membership to put forth a proposal, a group proposal, a panel, anything that's going to help to spread the word of advising and make sure that we have a really good conference to pull off. So if you haven't already submitted it, there's still time, but you want to make sure you get it in before 2 p.m. Central Time on Monday the 20th.
Yeah, and I think that's very important is that everything that's posted time-wise regarding deadlines is Central Time,
Yep.
not the time of where you're at or you're located. And, you were referencing that you can attend a conference, whether it's your region or not. I know for me, when my first few years in NACADA as a member, I assumed that I could only go to Region 9 as my conference or the annual conference, that I couldn't actually go to a different one. But it makes sense that you could go because you can actually network with other folks and see what they're doing in their region and maybe take it back to your region.
Absolutely. I think the more contacts you're able to make, especially depending on the different institutions, if it's a small liberal arts or a large public, being able to make all those different connections beyond your region is important. And, from where I am in Pennsylvania, it is going to be about the same to drive to Cincinnati for annual conference as it will for Norfolk for the regional conference. So, based on the travel, you're going to go to the one that's going to work best for you and work best for your schedule. And that same goes with submitting a proposal. You're allowed to present if you're not part of that region. You just got to make sure that you go to the conference and you are accepted, but that's always an option too. And it's kind of fun sometimes to go somewhere and listen to a lot of different viewpoints, because as you know, the educational system state to state or region to region is going to vary. And it helps us become better advisors once we kind of learn what's going on across the country and the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with proposals, there's different types of proposals that can get submitted. You were referencing whether you do it as a group, a panel, but, you have poster session, concurrent session, a pre-conference, a workshop. What is the difference between all of those?
So that's actually a really good question. So when you submit a proposal, you're indicating how you want to present it. And for someone, a poster, that's going to be like what you would see at annual regional, where you're stationary, you have, your set, manipulatives or handouts, but people are coming to you and you're giving the 5-minute elevator pitch of what you do as an advising service or as a good practice. For panels, that might be 3, 4, or 5 different individuals, probably from different institutions, giving their take on an advising topic. And then the pre-conferences, those are going to be longer. Those are 2 to 3 hour sessions that occur prior to the conference, where when people register, they're paying an extra fee to attend a pre-conference. But those are really good workshops where you're able to take away something. So if you are if you have a set topic that you are an expert on, or you have a couple people on your campus who are experts on, and you can share that knowledge, and people are able to walk away with a solid program. That's a really good way to get across your message. Typically, there aren't as many pre-cons as there are regular concurrent sessions during a conference, but we do need those as well. So if you're interested in submitting for any of those, please feel free to do so through the NACADA portal.
Yeah, and the pre-cons, I mean, even though there might be like an extra fee to that, they're usually longer, like 2 to 3 hours. And I've appreciated learning a lot in those because they're more hands-on. You kind of get to really kind of get to know the presenter, know what they've done, but they also kind of help you work at the same time on some type of maybe project or homework assignment.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a lecture style where you're going to sit there for 2 hours. It's very interactive. You're going to have some homework. You might have homework coming into the session, but you're really going to kind of workshop something, and you're going to work with the presenters on that. And they really take a vested interest in what you're doing, and you've got a really good takeaway of something that you can go right back to your campus and say, this is what I've learned at this conference, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, people listening probably are agreeing with this, and they're like, "Yeah, I definitely want to attend. Maybe I want to submit a proposal." And I will say that a lot of the different regions, including Region 9, have done some sort of panel or talk story that about how to write a proposal. I know Sarah Howard has done a presentation on it. Mercedes Butler from Region 9 did 2 of them on the same day for members. And so please check your emails if you're a NACADA member, because links to those have been sent out, or go on some of the region pages and you might find the links to the videos there as well. And a lot of them go step by step of, from idea to actually submitting the proposal. And it makes everything very clear, structured, and doesn't make it as scary as some might think it is.
Yeah, it should not be an intimidating process, but I can understand the first time that you do it, it can be a little awkward. But yeah, I know Region 2 did a talk, and the 9 talk that you referenced. There's a lot of good information out there to help support what makes a really good proposal. But then after you get to have that proposal and you have it accepted, okay, well, how do I turn that proposal now into a presentation? And there's a lot of different resources on the NACADA website to do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I'm always one that, like, I don't necessarily want to present by myself. And so having colleagues that you could do it with, it makes it easier. Because if you think about it, let's say you have an hour presentation. If you have 2 other people with you, you're not talking the whole hour. You can split that time and make it easy on yourself as well.
And it gives you some different perspectives during that. And I know that one of the things that was something, as I first started presenting in NACADA, I'm thinking like, oh, hey, we're going to have like 5 minutes where you turn and talk to your neighbor. Well, that time is better spent with a different expert on there to giving their perspective, which is going to be different than my perspective. And that's a good thing, because we're going to have some different approaches to all the different advising practices we use.
Yeah, definitely. And again, people are probably listening going, that all sounds great, Chris. Yep, I agree. But budget.
Yeah.
Budget at my institution, budget within the department I work in is not what it used to be, not pre-pandemic wise. So what advice do you have for individuals that they want to attend, they want to gain that knowledge, they know that attending a conference can make a difference, they want to be able to network, whether it's in person or virtual? What do you say to that?
I would say one of the good ways to get your boss or whoever controls the purse strings at your campus, getting them to allow you to go to a regional conference is saying, hey, not only am I attending, but I'm presenting. So I know at some campuses, they won't provide professional development unless you are presenting. So submitting a proposal, showing your involvement from the get-go is a really good way. But also making sure to showing them the value of NACADA. The schedules are going to be out prior to the conference, so you're able to see the sessions, so you can go back and show them the 2 or 3 sessions that you know you're going to go to, because you're going to come back with this. But also offer on your campus about hey, if you let me go to this regional conference, I can come back and I can do a workshop on some of the things that we learned or some of the things that we talked about. So that way there's a direct intangible thing that you're bringing back to your advising group. That might be something that is going to help to convince the people who are managing your budgets to say, okay, yep, I do see the value in this. And when you look at the prices of a NACADA regional conference versus other higher ed associations, the regional conferences, if you're a member, $155 for 2.5 days is a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I need to go back to just mention when I was talking about the Region 9 conference, just to throw it out there, it's a joint conference. So I can't forget our friends in CalCan and our California Academic Advising Network, that we are joining forces with them for our conference. So it is not just Region 9, but Region 9 and CalCan. So just want to make sure I plug that so I don't get in trouble. And then also, this is not to toot my horn or anything. This is just to show how you can go full circle with this. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I did attend region conference. I've attended annual conferences, but attending a conference, you get so much. So I did attend a session from one of the institution that talked about advising students on probation within their healthcare major. And I work with students on academic probation within our office, and I emailed this person, hey, can I get your PowerPoint? Can I get some of the worksheets that you've used? She sent it over, and I said, am I able to use this? And she said, absolutely. And then I worked with my boss on revamping an independent study that we had, utilizing pretty much a lot of the suggestions that this person had within their presentation. After a year, we saw some results with it, and then we've gone to present on it at region and annual conferences. So this all can go full circle, and it's very beneficial. And that's just one little way of why you should attend a conference.
Yeah, the regional conference presentations, when you attend them, they will be smaller in attendance than a gigantic ballroom at annual, and so you really have that opportunity to reach out and talk with the people after the session, get their contact information, and really kind of build up a personal connection with those presenters. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that, because some of the regional conferences are where I've gotten some of my best ideas in my own practice, but also giving me the skills to kind of take a look at my profession as a whole, and where I want to go, and looking at what other people are doing at, local schools that, I can pick up the phone and talk with them on.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I appreciate you being on the podcast, getting to talk about region conferences. And so, yeah, you can go and get registered already for conferences. And then you said December 20th deadline for the proposal. So get a proposal submitted. But Chris, appreciate you being on.
Absolutely. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. For your listeners, check out the website, look at the deadlines to submit a proposal, because we need as many proposals as possible to make sure we have the highest quality conferences as possible. Okay.